this then.
Yes.
I had to do my research, but I saw this. Now, in 2009,
Uh-huh.
En Vogue appeared on the A&E network show Private Sessions.
Right.
Cindy said this in regards to you leaving the group and also you not being on the EB3 album. She said, Dawn's got her own fan base. A lot of our fans were disappointed to see her leave. That CD didn't do as well as our first two CDs, and I think at that point, the record company realized, then she stopped and corrected herself and said the head of the record company realized
Wow.
she had made a mistake in just, letting Dawn go. And someone said the name Sylvia wrong.
Yes.
Um,
I did.
why
I think I did.
I think it was you, but why do you think they, like you were saying, sticking together, why weren't they able to stick together? And do you think that because Denny was dating Terry, that was like an extra control tactic, or
Hell
they were
yeah.
just scared?
Absolutely. No, it was. He told Maxine one time, he told her for hours, not just like, Maxine, there is no group. I got Terry in my back pocket. Dawn is crazy. Cindy just rides the fence. She doesn't know which way to go, and you're by yourself. He talked to Maxine like that and said that same thing over and over and over again one day on the phone with him for, like, I think Maxine said 4 hours. He continued to say, Maxine, there is no group. What group? What are you talking about? I got Terry in my back pocket because he was dating her. I got Terry in my back pocket. Dawn is crazy. Cindy rides the fence, and you are by yourself. He said that rhetoric over and over again to Maxine. Was like, oh my God. Okay, Denny, I gotta go. Like, she got off the phone, but he was telling her there is no group because I have Terry in my back pocket. I don't know what he put on her. I guess the D was that good that she had to like overlook what was good for her own well-being.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I told her later. I'm like, you're so busy being behind Denny and following behind Denny that you don't even see that you have cut your nose to spite your face, as they say. You're so busy following him and making sure that he's okay, and the loyalty that you have to him is so profound. I think I said this in another interview, a couple of interviews now. I was doing a song with Devante from Jodeci. Funny that you bring them up, but we were working on a song together for my solo album. And I said, prostitutes of the industry. That's what it seemed like it was to me. Sign on a dotted line and you'll never be free. And you got to give all you earn to me. So yes, we were giving all our money to our producers. We were giving all our money to our record company and to the, into the government as first, really, the IRS. And then the record company, and then our producers, and then our managers, and all these other people. So yeah, Terry was bound. Nobody can force you to do anything. I don't know if he gave her Ultra mind control, Ultra K mind control, whatever the hell. Like I said, was the D that good that you're gonna overlook your own well-being? And the fact that this man has a man, you can see this, Terry. You have been to this man's house way before we all were. So he brought us all there one day together, Cindy, Terry, Maxine, and I. But Terry, I'm sure, was at his house when he bought it. She probably saw it before he got it. Like, come see what, I want you to see, should I get this or not? Like, he probably asked her what her opinion was. And I mean, Terry was around him long enough to see, wait a minute, you got a mansion, I don't. You got this, I don't. You got that, I don't. And so going back to Private Sessions, when Cindy said that, I don't know what she meant by Dawn has her own fan base. We all had our own fan base. Cindy had fans that loved her, that she was their favorite. Maxine had fans that loved her. She was their favorite. Terry had her own. I had my own. But when Terry did her own solo album, that's when things changed. And that's what we didn't see. I look at that clip and I'm thinking, oh my God, because I was in my head thinking, oh my God, should I say this? Should I not? Right there on the spot. And I couldn't say, excuse me, Terry did a solo album too. You guys kicked me out. You didn't kick Terry out. I couldn't say that on the show because I don't want to bring up, I was too nervous to bring up the stuff that I would bring up now. I've always been feisty, but I was a little too afraid. Like, we're on camera. We're actually filming a show. And if I put the girls on the spot, that's going to, I didn't like confrontation. Now, today, I would have been like, no, Cindy, this is what happened. You guys kicked me out of the group. You kept Terry in the group. Terry did a solo album. You kicked me out for doing the same exact thing. That's what I would have said then if I was me now. But I was too afraid.
Right.
I was too afraid.
I get it. Now, on that first album, is this true? I know the song "Just Can't Stay Away" is the Natalie Cole song, right?
Yes, yes.
And
We
you guys
talked
remade
about that song. Oh my gosh. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I just want to know this because it was originally written and produced by Chuck Jackson and Marvin Yancey. Did they really work with y'all on doing that
No.
song?
Oh, I think Marvin Yancey has been dead for years now. Yeah. So I think they passed away before Natalie Cole, definitely. Both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't even think of Chuck Jackson and Marvin Yancey to work with because we had our own producers. Denny and Tommy produced our version of Don't Can't Just Stay Away. Yeah. So yeah, we wouldn't need them because we had our own production.
Okay. Now I watched the clip and it's actually on YouTube. It's called En Vogue Funky Divas Behind the Scene, and the channel I think is En Vogue Craze. Yes. Now, in regards to the second album, Funky Divas, Terry said, "We didn't write on this album because we were really busy. Time was definitely a factor. So Tommy and Denny had to go in and they pretty much did everything and they let us hear everything and we liked it." Now, on the first album, you all wrote a lot. Why didn't you write on the second album? Because I don't think that might not.
Terry's full of shit. Okay. And I'm going to say it straight up. That's what she's full of shit. She's full of it. Denny was pissed off because when we got back from the MC Hammer tour, Cindy, I guess, was having a conversation with MC Hammer, and he was like, "You guys are not making any money, so why are you only making 2 pennies a record?" He was pissed off. He was shocked, just like everybody else that hears that. And he told us that we could go, he's going to pay for us to sit with his attorney for the whole day. As long as we need to understand what is going on with our contract. Make sure you bring your contract with you guys and ask all the questions that you need to ask. I'll pay for it. He paid for us to sit with his attorney the whole day. When Denny found out that we were asking questions, Denny told us that we could not write on that second album. I think there are other reasons for that. And I can't remember all the details, so I have to kind of pick my brain for that later. But he was pissed off that we were asking questions, that we actually went to an attorney. Oh, and now you guys want to get a new manager? Like, you're supposed to have David as your manager. David was Denny and Tommy's manager as well. So once we found out what a conflict of interest really meant, I was like the biggest saying, you guys, we got to get, I love David too. I love David Lombard. He's a great manager. He's a great man. But I don't want, David is not going to make sure that we have what we deserve. And right now we're being loyal to him, but we're not being loyal to ourselves by keeping him manager. That does not make sense. David is not looking out for us because he can't. David has to ride the fence, as they say, because he was managing our producers and he was managing us as well. So that meant there was a conflict of interest. So David he can't be over here with them and he can't be over here with us. So who's going to represent us? Who's going to protect us as a manager? So we had to kind of get somebody else to step in for the moment. But to me, that didn't make sense. That if he can't represent us, and we push him out of the picture, he steps back out of the picture while we renegotiate, and then we're going to bring him back in later. That makes no kind of sense. No way, no how. It just doesn't make sense to me. So the girls were like, "Well, Dawn, we love David." I'm like, we all cried on the phone. I love David too, but David can't represent us the way we need to be. Oh, you guys are so. When men say that we are too emotional, let's say something that is a little bit risky, but we are sometimes too emotional when it comes to business. Men can, like, you know what, dude, I love you. I love you. My dude. You're my dude. You know how you guys give each other dap, all that stuff all day long. But this is business.
Right.
And so guys can do that much easier than we can. And I was like, you guys, please don't take it personal. I love David too, but David cannot represent us. It's not fair to us. How are we going to look out for ourselves if we're not looking out for ourselves? David has to go. And then they kicked me out of the group and they ended up getting David back in. Like, they rehired him. Stuck on stupid, that's all I say. So
Now,
yeah, that whole thing when Cindy was saying that, I was just like, there was so much more to that conversation on private sessions that I wanted to say, but I was just too afraid. I knew my worth, but I still wasn't where I am now. I didn't know the woman that I am today. So I just kind of held my tongue and like, oh, no, that wasn't all of it. But if we get into this deep conversation right now, I got all three of them, and they're not going to sit here on private sessions and agree with me that they were too stupid to understand what was going on and Dawn was right. They're not going to agree with that. They're not going to sit here and say, yeah, you're right about that. We were okay getting 2 pennies a record, and we weren't smart enough to think Dawn is right. Let's get behind her and let's stand together as a group. So I know that they wouldn't have done that, and I would have looked crazy trying to sit there and explain what was going on and try to backtrack and go over all the details of why you guys kicked me out of the group and you didn't kick Terry out. You know what I mean? It would have been really hard to do on my own. So I was like, just shut up, Dawn. Don't say nothing else. Don't say nothing else. Now, today, I have the vindication of being able to tell my story and exactly what happened. With or without Cindy, with or without Terry and Maxine. They're not going to admit that what I'm saying is right, because admitting that means that they were like, okay, wow, we are still doing, so we're on our second album. We sold like 3 to 5 million on the first album, but we're going in under the same terms as the first album to do Funky Divas. Born to Sing sold a lot, and now we're going in, even though we sold a lot on the first album, we're going in under the second album with the same terms as the first agreement that we had, that first contract. They were okay with that. And so they would have to sit there in private sessions and agree, Dawn was right. We should have listened to her. We were too stupid to figure out, like, yeah, we're only making 2 pennies a record. We were too stupid, like, to, after Runaway Love, that we were making a whole lot of money for a lot of people, but we weren't making anything ourselves. We have to admit that right now. Oh boy, it was like opening a can of snakes, not a can of worms, but like Pandora's box, as they say. So I just bit my tongue because I knew that the three of them were not going to admit that.